Welcome to the Bowls Hour, brought to you by Somerset Retirement Villages and Dynasty Apparel. Alex is back with us this week. Hi, Alex. How you going?
Yes, I've returned, and so has the show.
Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have the show. I don't know how to press those buttons over there.
I'm sure people have enjoyed the week of peace and quiet away from the Bowls Hour.
No, I'm not sure. They may have missed you.
Yes, no, I'm back from over the other side of across the ditch.
You were able to travel.
Yes, it was nice. So we'll talk about that soon. But I thought just on the intro bit, the first thing I'd like to just quickly chat about, and we've spoken about it. It's been like banging our head against a brick wall for the last few weeks. Is the North-South that's coming up in Dunedin
This week.
Yes.
This weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I wasn't too sure.
This weekend. It's very soon. So Saturday, Sunday is the North vs South. It's exciting. You will have seen, or if you're listening, you should have seen on social media. We've been sharing who's playing who.
Yep.
Which has been exciting and some good matchups.
A little bit behind that, it's a little bit different, isn't it? So the North non-playing captain has been given the first pick, and they pull who they want to play. And then that's been not necessarily counted, but then it's now then been handed to the South North non-playing captain, who then selects who they want to pitch against.
That's right.
That person.
It's very much driven by the non-playing captains, which is quite cool, and you can sort of get behind it. Yep. It should be exciting, and that will be covered on our YouTube channel, our Bowls New Zealand YouTube channel, Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to be talking a bit, I think, during the weekend, Erin, which I'm looking forward to.
Got some lozenges?
I might have to get some lozenges or some water, or an energy drink, but we'll see.
All of the above.
So it should be good, and of course, before then is going to be our Somerset Awards evening.
Yes.
Which is really cool, and you can expect to see releases of our awards winners.
Yes.
In the coming
after the dinner on Friday night.
Yes.
Where we will announce who has won the categories and our overall Somerset Supreme winner, and then Saturday morning you'll be able to see those.
And that's always
winners.
That's always an exciting. It's exciting to see who sort of comes through there. Last year, of course, we were stuck in lockdown when that happened.
We were. So the year before we had been locked down. Then last year I think we were
locked
back.
Down again.
Yeah. So
we were locked down in Auckland.
We were locked down in Auckland. The rest of the country was living the life of Riley. I can remember rolling this out at my dining table. But anyway, we've got an actual awards dinner. I think the nice thing that we've got this year, which is a little bit different, is we're taking it to Dunedin.
Yes.
So it's nice to be able to take an event around the country, which could normally be very central.
Absolutely.
Based.
And the AGM is in Dunedin this year.
And the AGM is in Dunedin.
Which I suspect is the first time it hasn't been in Auckland since ever.
I don't know. Maybe watch this space. Maybe it's going to become a travelling roadshow, and we'll take the party to the people.
Go to Hokitika with the AGM and see how that goes. Fantastic. Right, so we've got the North-South AGM and awards dinner coming up this weekend, which is exciting, and just keep your eyes peeled on our website and social media information on that. I quickly wanted to touch that this episode we're not going to have an umpire on the show.
No.
We'll get there.
Yep.
We'll get there. I know we've teased it twice now, and it hasn't happened, but we'll get there. And I just wanted to, try and calm everyone down. The rules have been changed or been put up for change by World Bowls, but nothing changes in New Zealand for months and months and months. Yep. So before it does change, we'll get someone on to answer all the questions that you might have, and it's more changes in the wording than actual changes for this umpiring business.
Exactly. And I think the important thing here is for the people, the bowlers out there in the world who are going into their new season, nothing changes.
No, it doesn't change for months.
I did see a little, I can't remember where I saw it. It was a comment, I think. We put out there, what are the questions that you have for your umpire? One of the comments I think was about foot faulting.
Yes.
And there was a little bit of back and forth chat on that, and I think at the end of it came down to, well, we can see it on the screen because we're watching it on a live stream.
Yeah.
So you should be able to call it. But I think what's important to remember is umpires don't sit there and watch on a screen.
No, they don't.
They can't. You do a replay.
Yeah.
And you can't expect to be able to call a replay on one rink when you've got 8 other rinks in operation, because then that's an unfair advantage or disadvantage to the people on the rink if they're not being watched by an umpire
Yep,
in life versus on a screen.
We don't have TMOs, and it's also
we don't have a TMO, we don't have that kind of system, so just because it might have been seen on a screen doesn't mean that we can implement that kind of vision across a whole tournament.
It's also become difficult with foot faulting because it's if your foot's on or over the mat. So angles come into it. My foot could be hovering over the mat.
Yeah.
And be over it.
And your
but
camera
if I'm
angle.
looking from whatever angle, it actually looks like it's off the mat entirely. So I would leave that to the umpire's prerogative. And I would also, we could go on. I'm not sure
This is why umpires are important, isn't it? But thank you, umpires. We understand that there is a lot going on.
Yeah.
You're wandering around. You're always watching. Your eyes are always on everything on a green, and you do a great service for our sport.
Just quickly, and I'm always staggered by. I should read my rules. I'm not sure if a pineapple is illegal in outdoor bowls, by which I mean if I chuck a bowl disc over disc. If I roll a bowl up disc over disc.
I don't know what a disc is, Alex, so you need a little bit more on
if
that.
If it bounces up the green, because it's got like maximum wobble.
Okay.
So if I have it that way,
yes.
disc over disc.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's illegal in outdoor, because I've seen it done. It's illegal in indoor bowls.
Yes.
And I would be more upset if my opposition did a bouncer against me than if they did a foot fault, is all I'm saying.
What if they just had
Maybe
a
someone
really bad delivery?
Someone should talk to World Bowls about that. I've never thought about that before. Anyway, right, we'll move on.
We digress.
So yeah, I've been away for a week. I was in Australia. I was in Ballarat,
yes,
which is neither warm nor sunny, I can report.
Is it just the time of year that you went?
I don't know, but it was absolutely freezing.
Regional Victoria, is it?
Yes, it is.
So outside of Melbourne?
I went to Australia expecting warmth. And I was cold.
You went to Melbourne.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the Gold Coast.
I didn't think it through very well. So that's where I was. If anyone was wondering, for 3 days I was a supporter for the indoor bowls Trans-Tasman. And I'm happy to report as a New Zealander that New Zealand has again beaten Australia in a Trans-Tasman at bowls.
Excellent.
And that's all we need to say.
And Alex's email address for any comments.
Exciting times. Right. So the other thing I just wanted to quickly touch on, we put it on Facebook, we mentioned it a few weeks ago, is people's foibles.
Yes.
So I asked on Facebook, I said on Facebook, look, Erin's foible is that she enjoys biscuits and bread.
Yes.
Which is bizarre.
That's great.
And my one is when I am attacking like a Panadol sheet.
Yes.
I don't like doing it in order.
Yes.
I like just to take 2 random pills from anywhere on the sheet. I don't like it to be in nice orderly rows.
Okay.
Makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which people get really angry at me about.
No, I pop it from anywhere.
See, so it's great minds thinking alike.
Most of the time I'm talking or doing something, so you just grab it, you just pop the first one that you can pop.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better.
Yeah, so you're going to start wrapping your biscuits in bread now?
No, I'm not going to, but I might try. Sue Curran commented on that post, and she said that she enjoys butter and Vegemite on Wheat Bix.
I will back her on that, because one of my little treats that I used to get when I went to my grandmother's house was she would give me a Wheat Bix cut in half with a big slather of butter in between. And that was delicious. Never had it with the Vegemite.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I could see that. And she also gets new socks before a bowls tournament.
Oh, she's got a little bit of a superstitious foible in there, doesn't she?
A large sock collection.
Yeah, unless she has a dog that likes taking them.
There you are. You can
I have a large single sock collection.
Sounds like the voice of experience there, Erin. And just the last thing before we move on to the next person is I just wanted to chat about who we're talking to this week. So we're going to have a chat to Shane Elliott next, and he is from Southland. He won the Charity Peers a couple of years ago. Pretty well-known bowler.
Yep.
Had a moustache once that I think I'll talk to him about it. I think I remember that it was taken off and auctioned.
Ah.
I'll ask that question when we get there. And the other person we're talking to is Emily Belton. She used to work for Bowls Canterbury as a coach and youth development person.
Yes.
She's moved on in her role, but she still has a lot to do with bowls. And finally, we're going to talk to a guy called Andre Hudson, who I used to play bowls with when I was in Tauranga and Gate Park.
Yes.
And he was actually my sister's teacher at primary school.
Okay.
At Greaton Village Primary School.
Yep.
And he's taken up bowls.
Yep.
And has got lots of interesting things to talk to us about, which I'm looking forward to, Erin.
Excellent. Well, that's great. So you've heard our list of guests that we have, and coming up next, we're going to be speaking to the first one, Shane Elliott, here on the Bowls Hour. Welcome back to the Bowls Hour, brought to you by Somerset Retirement Villages and Dynasty Apparel. And we are now speaking with Shane. Hi Shane, how you going?
Erin, I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. And we've got Alex with us.
Yes, yeah, I'm here too. I'll be asking some of the questions. Thanks for coming.
How are you, Alex?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for agreeing to come onto the show, Shane. It's cool to have you from way down south. So I thought where we would start is right at the beginning with you. And could you just let us know what's your first recollection of lawn bowls? When did you first come across the sport?
Well, yeah, it's a funny wee story, really. I grew up in a little town called Ngāruawa here in the Waikato, and in my misspent youth, 16-year-old, a few mates looked for a place to have a few beverages on a Sunday. This was before Sunday trading, and the only place that was open in the summer was the bowling club. So we decided to join, and a few of the old fellas there, Matt Gregory and Albie Cathro, they said, well, the only way you can get a beer is if you actually play the game. So we started playing, and played for a couple of years, and then as a young fella, gave the sport up and didn't really pick it back up until I moved to Southland in 2003.
And what was it in 2003 that made you think, I'll have a go at bowls again?
Well, new to the area, moving all the way from Waikato down to Southland, you don't know too many people, and living in Invercargill at the time, so I joined the Waihopai Bowling Club, just purely to meet people and have a good time and get out and about and see the province, and haven't looked back since, really. The nurturing that I had at the Waihopai Bowling Club in Invercargill was fantastic. The late Glenn Milne took me under his wing, and we went from there, really, and just played the game with a real passion since then, really.
Oh, fantastic. Are there any sort of, when you look back over your early career, so that 2003, I don't know, 4 or 5 years after that, are there any successes or moments that stand out to you that you look back on and think that was really cool to have done?
Yeah, well, it probably was about 2007, I think. Glenn and I and another player, Nigel Eason from Waihopai, we won the centre triples, which put us through to the pathway events, and we won the zone 6 as it was then pathway, and we went to the nationals, which was at Nainai, the national pathway, or the national club championships, I think they were called back then. And,
that's right.
and that kind of really opened my eyes to the competitiveness of lawn bowls, outside Southland, and kind of really pushed me on to, strive to play for Southland and try and get to those events more often, really.
Yeah, for sure. So we talk about competitiveness. Had you participated in any other competitive sports in that gap between when you finished playing bowls in Waikato and took it up in Southland?
Yeah, I was always a football player, soccer, as we call it in New Zealand sometimes.
Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, dead right. Yeah, no, I try and drum it into my kids that it's football, not soccer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played football at a reasonably high level up in the North Island. I played in the Northern League, and down here in Southland played in the Southern League as well. And yeah, that's really my competitiveness on the football field. Really, after that triples win in about 2007, really went onto the green as well. And sometimes I still play a wee bit socially, but every time I step over that white line, the old white line fever gets a hold of me, and I get too aggressive and go a bit silly for my age, to be fair. But football was always a big factor in my life. And then, obviously playing at a reasonably high level, I thought, why can't I do the same with lawn bowls? And so far so good.
Yeah, fair enough too. So your bowls club, Shane, can you tell us a bit about your bowls club?
Yeah, so I live in a little town called Edendale, which is halfway between Gore and Invercargill. We are a town of about 500-600 people, and we've got a bowling club. We just celebrated our centennial last year. And we've got about a membership of about 25 playing members, and about another 15 or 20 social members that come along and support the club. And we bat well above our average, like with a small club, 25 members. We've got 5 or 6 Southland representatives, in the open grades and the development grades. We last season just gone, we won 3 centre titles, and obviously we saw you, Alex, at the Hastings complex for the National Club Fours, and we're a really, really strong little club that first of all, we pride ourselves on having a good time. We'd like to be remembered as good people before we're remembered as good bowlers, and so we like to be remembered as socially very, very active. But once we get on the green, we want to be as competitive as hell as well. So, good little community, good club, and like I say, that's one of my real passions at the moment is the Edendale Bowling Club.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. So what green do you guys play on there, or down south actually? Because we come from Auckland where we have I'm not going to say anything actually in case I annoy anyone. We have different greens up in the North Island. What are the greens like down south or in the Southland Centre?
Yeah, but most of the greens in the Southland Centre are the same. Cotula-based weeds. We're very lucky in Edendale. When I first moved to Edendale, it was about 8 years ago. The green was, as you can imagine, as a country club, was rough and ready, but was good enough to play on. And we've improved it slightly, but we're very lucky that the weed that grows down here so well is plentiful around the countryside. And if we need to, replace the green and with patches or so forth, there's a really good cotula source down on the coast near Tokanui in the Catlins. So, we can maintain our greens reasonably well down here. And Alex, you've played down here a few times, and you can attest to the greens around the place. Pretty good nick for down this way.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate because I haven't gone that well down there, but I can never blame the green.
Can you blame your partners or not?
Yeah, well, actually probably can't do that either. So there's not much left to blame, but that's okay. We'll move on from that conversation. So you've been playing bowls for a while down south. Are there? You've mentioned some names, but what idols, or do you have any idols that stand out to you that you look up to and try and model the way you play bowls off?
Not really. No. I mean, I just try my best to be myself, really. Obviously, looking up to people like, I've been very fortunate enough to play with Jo Edwards in the Charity Piers, an event down here that's held every November, and just the way that she conducts herself on and off the green, I think I'd like, myself to be like that. I just don't think New Zealand sport realise what a gem we've got there.
She calls it football too as well. You won't hear soccer coming out of her mouth.
Dad, right, I have her on about her team's doing better than my team at the moment, so I just keep my mouth shut about that. But, look, the way she conducts herself on and off the green, she's done a massive amount of work for the Charity Piers event here in November every year. The amount of gear that she, offers to be auctioned is fantastic. So someone like Jo, I look up to her a lot. In Southland, I'm fortunate enough to play with the likes of Sheldon Bagri-Howley, Craig Merrilees, Craig Tinker. Those guys who have done reasonably well on the national stage, and so to play with those guys in the Southland representative team is massive. So I think that their success, especially Sheldon's, has really driven our success down here in Southland as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple of things I'd like to talk about that you mentioned there. So you talked about the Charity Piers, which I think is a fantastic event. I'm not saying that only because I'm playing in it. But I just wondered if we could just have a chat about that to the listeners who might not be aware of the Charity Piers. If you could just have a chat about what that is for Southland Bowls and what it looks like.
So Charity Piers is a bowls event that we hold first week of November every year. It's about, I think this edition coming up this season is about the 42nd or 43rd edition. And basically what happens is Bowls Southland invite local players and players from around the country, and we, as players, donate goods and money to the charity, who then pass it on to charities around the Southland area. And up to this date, I think they're around about the $400,000 mark that they've given out over those 40 years. And Alex, as you can attest to being here, some of the stories that we hear every Sunday when we give out the charity money, some of them are just absolutely fantastic and heartbreaking, but also some stories there that, we're just helping out little charities with, it might only be $600-800, but for what it means to them is just fantastic. And the Bowls is probably secondary to that. It's a great opportunity to see all these players from around the countryside. As I said, Joe Edwards has been a massive part of that coming down, and we've had, Australian representatives over, New Zealand representatives come down to play in it, and they've just embraced the charity aspect of the tournament. So we've got 48 players from around New Zealand, Southland, playing off to, win the charity Peers event. And, I was lucky enough to win it a couple of years ago with a good mate of mine, Annie McDonald from Oamaru, and, that was one of the highlights of my career, absolutely.
Yeah, that was special, wasn't it? Can you talk us through how that went for you?
Yeah, it was quite emotional because Annie lost her husband, Rusty, a year or so before that tournament. And on the day that Annie and I won it, and we played Joe Edwards and Kerry Williams in the final, and it was 25 years to the day that Annie's husband, Rusty, won the tournament. And for us to do that, like I say, it was pretty emotional. And to have Annie's son, Craig, there as well, it was a great feeling. It really was. It was something special. And, myself, my wife, Nicole, and the kids, we've become friends with the McDonald family ever since, and help them out as much as we can, really.
Yeah, for sure. Stuff like that you don't forget, It just sort of, it sticks with you, and it's pretty special. I was there, and it certainly stuck with me, as does, you mentioned the at the end of the event, the charities come to collect their, whatever you call it, the money. And every charity does
donations.
Donations. Every charity person gets up and has a chat about what it means for them, and God, it's special. It's probably, I think, the neatest bowling event that I've sort of come across or been a part of in my time. It's amazing. I can't speak more highly of it.
Yeah, we don't take it for granted down here. We probably did a couple of years ago. We thought it was getting a wee bit stale, but we had a few people like Steve Beale and Rodney Green from Canterbury saying, "Hey, look, you guys don't know how lucky you are to have a tournament like that down here." And yeah, it is very special. Like guys like Andrew McGregor, who's been the convener for years, and he's a bit of a local legend down here. The work that him and his crew do is just phenomenal. And like I say, it's been going for about 42, 43 years. And long may it continue.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Okay, well, we've accidentally talked for a while. Oh, you've got
one
a
more question.
Yes, go, Erin.
Before you ask your bonus question.
Sure.
For me, it's been hard to get a word in, and if you know me, people will be like, no. So I'm just going to bring it back a couple of steps to probably the very, very early part of your conversation where you mentioned that you were your first bowling club was up here in the North Island in the Waikato.
Yes.
And you are now in the South.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we have a North versus South happening this weekend. So tell me, Shane, where do your allegiances lie?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Look, I've been down here for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
And apparently the legend goes that you got to be down here for 20 years before you consider yourself a local.
Okay.
But no, look, because I've played most of my competitive bowls down here, I know most of the guys. Well, I know most of the guys in the North Island team, but the South Island team, I look at the South Island team on paper, and I'm probably a South Island lawn bowler, and a North Island footballer. How's that sound? So,
okay, there we go.
I'm gonna go with South Island to absolutely destroy the North Island.
Oh, I like this.
That escalated real fast.
It did, didn't it?
Fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. I won't even cut that bit out. Okay, so the last question we have, it's a bonus question. We always ask a bonus question. It's food related again. So Shane, can you tell us please what is your favourite biscuit and why?
Favourite biscuit?
Yep.
Holy hecker, that's a tough one.
That is a big question.
Put you on the spot.
Well, the ideal to a best biscuit, there's got to be some chocolate element somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, are we going with brought chocolates or brought biscuits, or are we going with a homemade biscuit?
No, I'd leave that open. If it's a homemade biscuit as an option.
Yeah, look, if it's a homemade biscuit, my daughter does very nice chocolate chippy biscuits, which are fantastic. But brought biscuits, I'd have to go with Tim Tams.
Which one?
Just
like
the plain old originals, the originals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't mess with it with this caramel stuff and all that other rubbish. Just the plain old original Tim Tams. That takes me back to my youth. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, when you tried to break each layer down with your teeth and suck the chocolate out, and they're just the original Tim Tams, I think.
And do you leave them in the pantry or do you leave these in the fridge? Because that's the next thing about chocolate biscuits.
Good
well. Generally, they don't get a chance to go in the pantry or the fridge. They generally get gobbled, especially when, Madison and Morgan, my children, as soon as they hunt out any chocolate, that's it. Dad doesn't get anything. So
you might need a secret stash.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. No, I do like them chilled. Absolutely. Yeah, fridge.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
Excellent.
Oh, well, wind it up, Erin.
Awesome. Thank you for talking with us, Shane. I like that I got my questions in. It's been good having you here on the Bowls Hour. Thank you for taking the time.
Hey, it's all good. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks, Shane.
And up now we have Emily Belton here on the Bowls Hour. Welcome back to the Bowls Hour, brought to you by Somerset Retirement Villages and Dynasty Apparel. We are now speaking with Emily Belton from Christchurch. Hello, Emily. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, that's always good. I've said it before. It's a dangerous question to lead off with, isn't it?
How are you?
That's fine. That's all good. So I thought what we'd do, you've had a lot to do with Bowls Canterbury in particular over the last few years. So I thought we'd start at sort of the beginning of you and Bowls. And I just wanted to know, what's the first recollection you have of Lawn Bowls?
So my first recollection with Lawn Bowls is actually when I started to apply for the job at Bowls Canterbury. I'll go backtrack. My first interaction was actually with Ethan Callagher, because he was from Greymouth, because we went to the same high school. So I always knew that he had played bowls, but that's actually as far as I knew about the sport.
That was the beginning and the end. Okay, fair enough. So you applied for the job at Bowls Canterbury, and that sort of progressed along. Can you talk us through what your role was there, please, Emily?
Yeah, so I started as the Youth and Development Coordinator in 2014. It was my final year of university, and I thought that this job was a great starting point in the coaching and sport scene or sector. And my job was to connect with schools, connect with local bowling clubs, and then connect the dots between them. So building those relationships and building a better community within the bowls community, so that they had the opportunity to really connect within the school community to try and build the youth space and youth scene for bowlers.
Cool. And how did you find that, when you started and walked into that organisation? Was there already something set up, or did you have to do a lot of that work?
No, so thankfully Jimmy Sinclair and Judy Herkus had done a huge amount of work setting up the Kiwi Bowls program, and when Adrian Robbins started as CEO, he bought New Age Bowls from the UK, and that really helped transition or progress and develop the Kiwi Bowls program to what it is today. So really the foundations and the building blocks were there from Judy and from Jimmy, and so I just implemented the new equipment that really helped support and develop the program.
Are there any sort of I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, times or schools you went to there that stand out to you as pretty big successes, or stuff that stuck with you over the years?
I always loved the Koru games. Lawn bowls is a key feature in that 3-day event for Year 7 and 8 students. It was so cool to see so much progression and development within Year 7 and 8 students who had never picked up a bowl before that. And the great thing about the Koru games as well, it was more around participation than winning. While there was still that drive to do your best and drive to win, there was really good camaraderie between different schools and different students, and everyone was there in good spirits. And so I think that's really what I feel bowls should be and should aspire to, is that, yes, there's always going to be that drive to win, but we've got a huge community around us, and it's great to see that support. And I feel that in Canterbury especially, is that we've got a really good and really healthy connection with other bowling clubs around the place, and I really loved seeing that in so young people in Year 7 and 8. Yeah,
for sure. And did you get any of them to hang around? Were you able to hold on to any of those kids who are 13 or 14 years old? Were you able to get any of them to join bowling clubs or play secondary school level?
Yeah, so there's been a couple that have come through, whether it's, so Braden Casware started in a holiday program that I had at Riccarton Racecourse one school holidays. That was, and he's continued on with bowls as well, which is quite cool. The kind of the mind frame that I had with a lot of the sessions, because I was trying to get to at least 2,000 kids a year, was I wanted to give them a really good experience so that if they ever came back to bowls, whether it was when they're 18, 30, 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, they had a really good experience when they were younger to draw them back later. Because I felt like bowls is such a sport for life that if we gave them a really good experience when they're younger, then they're more likely to come back.
Absolutely, that makes sense. And sort of taking a slightly different tack now, so on the coaching side of things, that's something that's developed for you. Can you talk us through sort of, the word isn't serious coaching, but can you talk us through sort of how your bowls coaching has progressed and how that might apply to sort of coaching in other areas that you're interested in?
Yeah, so my coaching, in the coaching space, it kind of went a little bit backwards to most players. So I started coaching before I started playing. So I was
they do say those who can't play coach.
Yeah, and so I've learned how to play.
Yeah, there you go.
So I started off just coaching kids and things like that, really basic stuff, and then I decided if I really wanted to learn and develop my own knowledge and own skills within the sport, then I really needed to know how to play, to really understand the tactical and technical side of things a whole lot more than what I did. And so I progressed through there, and then primarily the programs initially were Year 7 and 8, so intermediate school age kids, and then progressing that through into secondary schools. And then from there I was focusing on trying to do more in the rep space. So I after 5 years of playing, I shadowed Pam Clark from Burnside in the Development Women's, and then took over that role the following year, and then have gone on to coach the Senior Women's for Canterbury last year, and I've been successful and lucky enough to be selected for the Senior Women's again this year.
And have you found...
Round of applause.
Well done, Erin. Have you found that experience, like coaching a senior women's representative team? How does that differ from coaching 13 and 14-year-olds?
Yeah, so it's definitely changing from where younger people need a little bit more technical skills, where I think the senior women they just need a little bit of support in the tactical, like just asking the right questions for them to think about how they can change their play, or do they need to consider something else. It's not necessarily, I don't believe, telling them what to do, where you slightly need to do that with younger players, but with a senior women's squad, it's really just asking the right questions and building a really good, fun culture that is, or a culture that's fun, but also supportive and nurturing and, something that they want to be a part of.
Absolutely. And so you've moved on from your role at Bowls Canterbury, which I just wanted to quickly touch on. Can you tell us what you're doing now, Emily?
Yeah, so I'm in the Waimakariri, so North Canterbury or north of Christchurch. I'm the youth development facilitator, so I work with local service providers, schools, just trying to build a better district for our young people.
Brilliant. And do you plan on hanging around the bowls coaching space for a while to come? Can we look forward to having you around our community for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I hope so. It depends on where life leads me, but I'm always looking for a new challenge or progressing further. So whatever that looks like, I'm keen.
That's the right answer. Well, thanks very much for having a chat to us, Emily. We've got one more question to ask. So I think we're up to our 30th episode or something ridiculous now.
I've lost count.
It's quite a few. We've done a lot of these episodes, and we always ask a bonus question of our people, and it's become more and more food related over time. It started off not food related. So our bonus question for you is, what is your favourite biscuit and why?
Oh, biscuit. Oh, I know. It's those I think it's called a lemon slice, but it's not. It's just got two biscuits with a little bit of sugar on either side, and then like a lemon cream in the middle.
Yes, yep.
They come in a green packet.
Yep.
And I think they're Arnott's.
Yep.
To be avoided at all costs.
They're the same. They're the same era as the Belgium
Have them with a cup
creams.
of tea.
The ginger biscuit with the raspberry inside, or the shortbread biscuit with the lemon inside.
Interesting.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
Yep. Alex is giving me a glazed over look, going, I don't understand this.
I'll Google it.
Yeah.
We're
and
fine.
then get yourself a ticket.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today, Emily. It's been great to have you on the show, and all the best for your coaching for the upcoming season.
Thank you.
No worries.
Cool. Thanks, Emily.
And up now, we've got Andre Hudson here on the Bowls Hour. Welcome back to the Bowls Hour, brought to you by Somerset Retirement Villages and Dynasty Apparel, and we are now speaking with Andre. Hello, Andre, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Erin. Thank you for inviting me here.
No problems.
Yes, thank you. I'll introduce myself at this point. I'll come into the chat.
I think you don't need any introduction, Alex.
No, thanks for coming onto the show, Andre. It's pretty cool. So I thought what we'd do is start right at the beginning for you and your bowls journey. And could you just tell us, like, what's the first recollection you have of coming across lawn bowls?
Oh, gosh. Well, it started because I'm a big rugby and cricket player, and my knees started giving in. And my surgeon, the last time I got my knees done, he just said to me, he said, look, this is the last time I'm doing your knees. You're going to need to choose another game that doesn't involve so much contact. And I said, I can't even think about what sport I could play. He says, what about lawn bowls? I just laughed at him. I said, no, I'm a rugby player. I'm a rugby player through and through. So the next day, I went out to places around Tauranga, to 3 different clubs. And one of the clubs shoved a piece of paper at me and said, I'll sign this and come back tomorrow. Another club said, there's no members here. And then I went down to Gate Park, a little club here in Tauranga, and the guy was mowing the lawns. Peter Smale was mowing the lawns, and he stopped mowing the lawns and said, you've got a few moments, I would like to share the game with you. So yeah, that's how I got into lawn bowl.
Cool.
And that's how you found your club.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely how I found my club.
I have a deep fondness for Gate Park. I suppose I'll get rid of the journalistic bias now. That's where I started my outdoor bowls at Gate Park, and Andre, and there's a few other ones there at that time, and it was I have very fond memories of that club and that group of people.
it was a really good group of young people there. It was fantastic.
Yeah, cool. And it's been nice to see, actually, like I saw your name pop up the other day, but the other ones like Nathan Arledge and Nick Tomset and co, finding success still at that sort of regional and national level.
Yeah, they're playing beautiful bowls.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Right. Focus, Alex.
He's reminiscing down memory lane.
So am I. Sorry, Erin, you're just going to get cut out of
No, that's okay. I used to drive through Gate Par to get out to Pies Par because that's where my grandparents lived.
And the club would have been on the right.
Yes,
It's not there anymore. It's just a green space.
It was by the tennis court, wasn't it?
Yes, above the tennis court.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Right, so successes. What are some things that pop out to you if you look back over your bowls career, which has been going for a while now? What are some successes that pop out as something you think that's something I can take some pride in?
I suppose my first success was being selected for the Bay. There's nothing better than being selected for the Bay. I've always been a Bay strong man. I've played rugby, cricket, all through the Bay team. But getting selected for the bowls team and going to the junior, the under-8 inter-centre up in Auckland. And we won that. Well, it was my first national title that we won together as a team. So that was an amazing point. I've got a rude awakening about celebrating. My singles player was playing his game and he won it. So therefore we won the competition. So I ran across the green, giving high fives to him, yelling, celebrating, almost putting my shirt over my head type thing. Then I turned around and saw my other players standing there just clapping politely. And I was just like, ooh, okay, so they don't do this here. Because it was my first national event that I've ever won, ever. So I was just...
I like it. I like the enthusiasm. We need more of that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so do I. I like that sort of stuff too.
That's great.
Yeah, and just little successes like those, and just a few club titles, centre titles, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And if you think about how bowls is compared to the other sports you've played, are there many? What are the differences? What are the main differences that you spot if you think about your other representative careers?
Definitely the height. Playing rugby and cricket, there's a lot more height in the game, and the supporters are, basically all over the park wanting you to win. I find that was probably the hardest transition to bowl. When I was supporting my teammates and I clapped my hands and got told off by the umpire, I was like, oh, gee whiz. So that was pretty, eye-opening for me because I love my sports and I love celebrating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that as a sport we're moving more towards that becoming normalised. I suppose it depends where you are, doesn't it?
Well, the things I love is like Sheldon Baggery when he follows his bowl in and he's calling it in and trying to shove it in a little bit more, sort of thing.
Hops, skips, and jumps.
Yeah. That's the sort of stuff I love. You know, because it shows passion for the game. I know a lot of the purists don't like people following up their bowl, but I love that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we've spoken about Gate Par, which sadly no longer doesn't exist as a bowling club. So you must be playing bowls somewhere, Andre. Can you tell us about the club that you're at currently, please?
I'm at the Tauranga Domain. It overlooks the rugby park and out towards the Mount. A really beautiful spot. Great people. Too green. Awesome president. Just runs it really awesomely, and really cool roll-up teams and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. So you find that it's an enjoyable club to play bowls at?
Oh, very enjoyable club, and we're just starting to sprout out now into more social bowls as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's nice because that's reasonably close down to the CBD where all the businesses are. And now that COVID isn't making people stay working at home, you've got more people going back into your business areas. We're getting into summer. It'd be nice to start seeing some of those businesses and organisations just wander up the hill from the CBD, go play some bowls on a Friday. That'd be nice for you guys.
Yeah. We have one business, Miss G. She runs a bar, and she's really super supportive of us.
Cool.
And does a lot of sponsorship, and she brings up crews of people up all the time. Yeah.
Brilliant. And what are your greens like there? Andre?
We started to lose our bottom green, but they've brought it back now. Looking really good. Still a little bit on the slow side, but I like it that way because at least you can play some shots.
Yeah, fair
The
enough.
top green is super fast and really beautiful. Yeah.
Cool. I have recollections. I remember it's quite a picturesque place, and it's a very old, it's an old bowling club, and I recall the green being nice when I was there, but greens can change in a few months.
It is extremely old bowling club, Alex. I used to play rugby next door to it when I was about 8 and look over the fence and enjoy watching bowls.
That can't have been long ago.
Oh, that's long ago. But I used to peer over the fence, the little brick wall, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, I'd love to play this game." And my dad putting his hand on my shoulder and saying, "No, you play rugby." So.
Now you can stand on that top green and you can look out over the domain, across the water to Mount Maunganui with that picturesque view.
Be like you got there.
Yeah, and it's stunning.
Yeah.
For sure. So if we talk about in bowls, some of us have idols and some of us don't. Do you have any idols that you look up to in your bowling career?
Oh, definitely. Shannon McElroy was my first one. Just, a young player getting out there and enjoying the game. And the way that he won the World Cup, the World Championship, that was just fantastic, the one down in Christchurch. The other one is Calvin Kirko. I loved reading his book and all the struggles he went through. And once again, the celebration on the green when he won his gold. So shirt off, blowing it around sort of thing. And then my last one is Steve Glasson. I got to meet him over in Australia, and he introduced me to the whole Australian bowls team. So
that's
really
pretty
great
cool.
guy. And I've watched a lot of his games, and he's tactically sound. So
That must have been a pretty cool experience to meet the Australian team. When did that happen for you?
Just before the Australian Commonwealth Games over on the Gold Coast.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I met them at Broadbeach, and it was surreal because all these people I used to watch and, hopefully one day play against, but I got to meet them and watch them and how they played, and they all signed my shirt for me, and they were just so nice.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds like a really cool memory to have. So, have we talked about the past? So, what about the future, Andre? What's in the plans? Have you got anything that you want to tick off on your bowls career? Anything you want to do?
I want to get back into the Bay team again. That's my closest goal.
Yeah.
I also, in the future, would love to coach the Bay team, baseball team, and of course, try and win some more national titles. Yeah.
They sound like really good goals.
I think it's quite cool to acknowledge you've come from playing rugby and cricket growing up, and you play bowls, and you have your idols in the likes of Shannon and Steve Glasson and so on. We play a sport where you could enter a national open championship and be drawn against Shannon. You can actually play against, these people that you look up to and that you idolize. That could never happen even when you're playing like top level district or provincial
or even,
sports,
even regional.
Exactly. You're not gonna be drawn into a competition at a rugby tournament against the All Blacks, the top level champion teams and stuff like that. But we're a sport where we just have such an opportunity to be able to not only meet but even play against and compete against the top people in the game as well. And that's just something a little bit special that bowls has over all these other sports, I think.
I like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. That sounded good. Okay. Well, we've had a chat about most of the things, so we've got our most important question now, which is our bonus question, and they are all food related. It appears. I might have to work on that, Erin. Maybe next week I'll think of something out.
All good.
So my final question for you, Andre, the bonus question is: what is your favourite biscuit and why?
Oh gosh, it's a Mallow Puff.
Ooh, yep.
Because that was my nickname at my rugby club.
Okay.
If people get to know me, I'm quite a very English style person. So they called me a mellow puff because I was brown on the outside, white on the inside. So I took it as a compliment, and yes, it's my favourite biscuit.
Favourite biscuit.
Now, my follow-up question is, do you put your Mallow Puffs in the fridge? Because they've got a chocolate on them. My rule is anything chocolate goes in the fridge. Do you put...
I agree.
Thank you. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Anything chocolate should be in the fridge, but
Yep.
my wife doesn't do that.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. Do you know what?
She smuggle it into the fridge.
You have to have
two packets
separate
of biscuits. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today, Andre. It's been great chatting, and all the best for your upcoming season of bowls down in the Bay.
Thank you, Erin.
Cheers.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Andre.
We've talked a lot about biscuits.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Yep.
Food, I think the bonus question is going to become the food question. You might need to rename it.
Yeah.
It's just the gift that keeps giving there.
Oh, food's an easy one to sort of...
Yep. So winding up this podcast this week, the podcast with special guest feature of Sheldon Baggery Harley without even knowing it.
Apparently.
What is your favourite biscuit, Alex?
You know, it's a really good question. I think I'll cover 2 or 3 real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think the nicest baked biscuit you can make, I make a very nice Afghan biscuit.
Yeah.
And they're important if you can cream the butter and the sugar right.
Yep.
You get quite it'll melt in your mouth, and it's important to have a lot of cocoa.
Yep.
So it should be a bitter chocolate biscuit
Yes.
with the sweet icing on top.
Yep.
So good Afghan's
Walnut?
brilliant. I don't mind. Walnuts, as I've got older, have become more acceptable on Afghan
Okay.
biscuits.
All right.
And the other thing is I like a mint biscuit, but only if it's been in the fridge.
Okay.
Only if it's been in the fridge. What about you, Erin?
So I like all biscuits except mint biscuits. I think we need to keep it to if you were going to go and grab something off a shelf.
Off a shelf, yeah.
Because I can't necessarily access Shane's daughter's chocolate chippy bickies or your Afghans or something. My nan made a really good Anzac, just to throw that
On
in
a
there.
side note,
On a
yeah.
side note, biscuits that you can't go buy off a shelf. I really don't know. Like I really like any chocolate biscuit, excluding mint in it.
How do you feel about
Has a
squiggles?
big tick. Squiggles, hokey pokey squiggles, yes. But if and all of these biscuits are biscuits I like. But if I was to try and point out a favourite right now, and Aiden Takarua actually reminded me of them a couple of weeks ago. Animal biscuits. So the little animal shaped biscuits with that icing. The icing was thick and it was very solid, and they were fantastic.
Yep.
They were good. They would be my favourite biscuit at the moment. But come back and ask me in 6 months' time. I've had another conversation with someone else
And
about
you're another
biscuits,
round,
and it'll
yeah.
be a different one. But yeah, pretty much anything chocolate, excluding mint, has a tick for me. But animal biscuits, they memories in the box, all the different colours. They were good.
Fair enough.
They
too.
were good. Awesome. Well, and on that note about animal biscuits, thank you for joining us and listening to our food chat over our Bowls chat for this episode of the Bowls Hour, the show for all things bowls and biscuits. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, remember to share it around. We can be found on Facebook every week from 7 p.m, as well as Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and the Bowls New Zealand website, or wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in next week for more talk about bowls. Until then, roll on.